I'm here to do and continue the Mars coming through the signs. Basically, we now in Gemini, the third sign. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. We got more videos coming soon. Make sure you like, subscribe, and stay consistent for y'all and for myself. You know what I mean? And yeah, holla at your boy, right? All right, so we got the Mars sign coming into Gemini, right? Now I told you guys in previous videos that Mars in Roman mythology is known as the god of war, right? So Mars, in terms of by sign and also the house, is going to show we have conflict, strife, quarrels, right? We can have fights in this area, so we may move more independently in this area, right? And even in terms of sign, basically, right? Now, Mars also represents a lot of other things. When it comes to your birth chart, you always want to compare. When you're trying to find out different areas of life with different energies about someone, we have multiple areas that you have to look at. So your Mars sign is going to be how you act, right? But you also want to compare this with your Ascendant sign. Or what's going on in your first house, which is kind of what the Ascendant represents. The reason being, and the reason why you want to do that, is because the first house represents the mass we wear, and it kind of is ruled over by Mars and Aries, right? And again, we're talking about the Mars sign, right? It's the mass we wear, it's our actions. Act is the key word that's inside of actions. So compare these two areas basically to see, right? So you guys are acting like the Gemini. It's also going to show your desires and where you direct your energy. It's also going to show us how you deal with anger and aggression, or like it could be like your fighting style, sexual expression. Now, in terms of sexual expression, in terms of how you are in the bedroom, you want to compare this with the 8th house, and this is going to tell more about your intimate life or how you deal with sexuality, basically, right? In terms of in a woman's chart, Mars represents the ideal boyfriend archetype, or kind of the guy that she's physically drawn to in terms of characteristics. Aspects may alter that. What I like to do is compare the Mars sign with the house that it's in to get more information. So compare that with the Gemini energy in terms of the ideal boyfriend archetype and what a woman would need, basically. Aspects can alter this, but these are just some things to look out for. I already told you that it's where you have conflict, so we don't need to express that again. But let's talk about how you guys act when you have Mars and Gemini. Let's talk about this, right? So you guys are Gemini is a very youthful energy, so you act in a very youthful manner. You could be very curious, basically. You could desire, being that you're curious, you could desire to learn. Gemini is the twins, right? So some people may think that you're too adaptable, too mutable, because it's a mutable air sign, right? But you know, you guys are very curious, very, like I said, very witty, knowledgeable. You know what I mean? You guys can know a little about a lot, basically. You know what I mean? Now, again, I said compare that with your Ascendant sign, right? But in terms of your desires, Gemini is a sign that represents communication. So you may desire or direct your energy toward communication. It could be, and when I say communication, this could be writing, anything that falls under that: media, writing, literature, journalism, knowledge, because Gemini can correspond with the mind as ruled by Mercury. Mercury rules over the mind. But yeah, you could desire to communicate and express yourself, basically. In terms of anger and aggression, right? Gemini, since I said it deals with communication, words, you know, it shows that you have a sharp tongue. You can be very direct. Your words will hurt people and can hurt people. Maybe you find that you're very brutally honest, but kind of can depend on other things going on there. But yeah, this is like a wordsmith, basically, as well too, when you have this placement. Let's see. So in terms of sexual expression, when we think about Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Now Mercury, along with Uranus, is one of the two androgynous planets, basically. Uranus rules over Aquarius, and actually Aquarius is an androgynous sign. So when you find people with Mars coming through Gemini, not all the time, but some people, they may be more open in terms of sexuality. They may like change a variety, as this is also what Gemini can represent. May just be more open to multiple partnerships. Some people with this placement, not everybody, right? We're not here to point the finger, this and that, but some people may be gay or bisexual, because again, it's duality, it's the twins, right? But not everybody. That's not going to be the case for everybody, just some people. You have to look at the whole chart in general to kind of get, you know, little clues, basically, or where somebody's energy, how it may turn out. You know what I mean? It's not always the case, right? Now, again, compare that sexual expression with your 8th house to see what's going on there as well too. You may be someone who's out there with Mars and Gemini or likes a lot of partners, but then if you have, say, again, Saturn in the 8th house, this may restrict you a little bit to where it changes that energy. If you have a water sign on your 8th house, this may make it a little more to where you're more, you need closer connections, right? Because water needs deeper connections, whether that be Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio. You may not be out there as much, so you know you got to compare multiple places. Also, say if the Mars was in Gemini, and if it was in the 4th, the 8th, or the 12th house, which are also water houses, basically just like those water signs we said on the 8th house, this can kind of change that expression basically to where you're not going to be out there as much, because that water energy will kind of alter that basically, right? So there's multiple things we got to look at, and the aspects can play a part too. Now, one of the things I forgot to mention is that Mars and Gemini can also be turned on through words as well as dirty talk. Gemini also rules the hands, so you guys may like to use your hands when it comes to intimacy, sex, foreplay, things of that nature. So just keep that in mind. Ideal boyfriend archetype. We need someone, again, who's very smart, right? You may need someone who's a jack of all trades, which is what Gemini represents, and intellect, kind of similar to how you act. You need someone who's adventurous, basically, right? Maybe someone who doesn't like to sit down, or someone who's spontaneous, which is kind of what that Gemini energy can represent, as this is how you act. One thing I meant to say is that I've been telling everybody is that what I'm going to do is leave a another video in this corner and also in the description with keywords for each zodiac sign. So what you do is I want you to look into the house that Mars is in, basically, and that house is going to correspond with the zodiac sign. If it's in the 1st house, this would be Aries. 2nd is Taurus. 3rd is Gemini. 4th is Cancer. 5th would be Leo. 6th is Virgo. 7th is Libra. 8th is Scorpio. 9th is Sagittarius. 10th is Capricorn. 11th is Aquarius house, and Pisces would be 12. So you also want to compare the sign in terms of keywords, qualities with whatever house it's in, basically. And also in terms of conflicts and quarrels, look at the house that it's in. But Gemini can actually rule over siblings, so you may find that you have some issues or conflicts with siblings, and you may move a bit more independent in this manner, right? So that's just something to think about. I hope that this video was insightful. I appreciate your time. That's the energy of Mars and Gemini. Leave your comments below, and thank you for your time. Peace, y'all.